Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, and let's just figure out what is happening with Tesla stock today. An absolutely monumental day. I think we moved even higher today than we did post earnings, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, an absolutely astronomical day for Tesla. So with all that being said and done, let's jump into it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section is live. The link is down below. If you're interested, for just $2.99 a month, you can access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, etc. And yeah, back when we were in the 140s, I'm sure you guys remember I was saying how, this is the place to bounce. And, this is not the time to be scared. And hopefully that helped at least some people. I know some people in my membership said that it did help them essentially not panic sell, right? Which is good. And I've seen a lot of people panic sell. I've seen like on Reddit people saying that they're just going to sell and wait till earnings is done. And well, congratulations, you just missed a pretty phenomenal run, right? So anyway, let's just go over the Tesla and let's talk about what the hell we can expect moving forward. So Tesla up with a phenomenal day of 15.4% essentially on the day, which is astronomical, up to $194.18 already, which I think we can all agree compared to the market is a little bit of an outperformance, just a little bit. So let's just discuss what the hell we can expect, because this is truly something else. Let's go ahead and remove this for now. But yeah. So first and foremost, the obvious thing to get out of the way is, well, we broke above 183, right? Remember how I said I have those three levels, or three like tasks, if you will, that I want Tesla to do. The first was to set a bottom signal down here. Second was to break above 160. And third was to break above this 180 to 183-ish, we'll say, level. Literally, we did that pre-market, and we essentially, in the morning turned it kind of roughly back into a support down here, which is a good thing to see. So that's pretty important, and it happened on pretty damn impressive volumes. So a lot of really good signs here that are pointing to the fact that this isn't like a fake move, right? This isn't like a fake rally. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that we're just going to go straight up from here. Obviously, small corrections or, a cool-off period is still to be expected. It doesn't mean we just, continue pretty much having 10% days every single day for the rest of Tesla's history. Of course not. But it's a good sign, and to me, it shows me that this move today is, it has merit. There's legs to this movement. It's not just like a random bull trap or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's a good sign for the bulls. I think that's a very promising sign for the bulls. But again, with that being said, we are pretty overbought here. So we'll go over that pretty soon. Obviously, to notice is the fact that we came up almost exactly to this red line. You might be wondering, what the hell is this red line? Well, that's exactly the 100-day moving average. On the daily chart, of course, we came up to it almost to perfection, and right, we rejected almost exactly to it, right, almost to the cent. So, that's important to understand that there is a pretty important level for us to pay attention to up here, pretty much starting at this 100-day moving average all the way up to about 205. Why? Well, because it's essentially actually, I'll just do this. I'll show you right here. It's easier. It's essentially a massive order block, which you can see right here, this red kind of box, if you will, right? It's a massive order block sitting pretty much from that range, right? All the way from, 198, we'll say, to about 205. It's a large order block. And this should, in theory, be some pretty substantial selling pressure that, a lot of people that maybe have been bag holding, are now, offloading, maybe at some profit or maybe at a break even or something like that, right? They're, taking this chance to get out, right? And just in general, it is an order block, unfortunately, in the bearish aspect of it. So, in theory, this should act as a pretty, decent, and respectable resistance. Like, I don't see us just breaking through this right away. Who knows with Tesla? Obviously, maybe something tomorrow will come out and we do, but it's just strictly off technicals. I don't see us breaking this just yet. I do expect this area to act as a pretty major resistance and for us to ultimately stop this rally, which, by the way, has been an absolutely phenomenal rally. If you bought, let's say, from the very bottom and you sold in theory, like let's say right now, you're up like 44% in a week and a half or something like that, which is like unbelievable. And even if you just bought right before earnings and you sold, let's just say you happen to time the top perfectly, you're up like 37%. Even if you sold that pretty much market close sometime today, you're still up over 30%, right? So Tesla has rallied substantially, right? And these moves, even though it's a good move, even though it's on good volume, doesn't mean it can happen forever. So again, if there's an area to reject, I personally expect it to be here, especially with FOMC on Wednesday, a little bit of fear coming into the market, potentially moving into that. I do expect a retracement. Now, the main question is, okay, well, let's just say we do retrace. Like, where can we possibly go, right? Where can we come down to as a retracement? What can we expect? Well, go ahead and oopsies, let me go ahead and take this out. Let me go ahead and remove this. Let me go ahead and remove this. Let me go ahead and take the Fibonacci. And, we go from the swing low to, again, assuming this is the current, at least temporary swing high, right? And let's say we do get a retracement from here, which, wouldn't be surprising. We moved up quite a bit pretty fast. So, a cool off here wouldn't be, uncalled for. Let's just say that. But assuming it does happen, right? The best case scenario for the bulls is, we come back down to this 183-ish level and we just hold it. We just don't really go much lower than that and we correct sideways, right? We just essentially go sideways, doing a whole lot of nothing. Go ahead and bring this out, right? Just doing a whole lot of nothing and just go sideways like this. That's option one. I don't think that's going to happen. That would be the most bullish aspect in my opinion, but I don't think that's going to happen. Personally, I'd expect a retracement to one of these Fibonacci's, the 382, the 0.5, or the 618 level, which ranges from anywhere between 175 roughly to close down almost to $160 per share. I don't think we'll go to 160. I think I don't see us coming that low, especially because this move just feels very, very powerful. I don't think we'll go that low, but I really wouldn't be surprised if we do come down to about 175 to 170, something like that, right? Give or take around that level to retest, maybe fill this gap or get very close to filling this gap. Maybe not exactly, but at the very least get close to it. Come down to about maybe even like 172, retest this volume profile right here, almost as like a support now, right? Because it acted as a resistance here. We had 3 days where we couldn't go above it and then come back down and now turn it back into support. And then from there, I think we base and then we move up even further. And from there, I think, it's a very real possibility for us to, break back above 200, right? Something like that is kind of what I would roughly expect, right? On top of that, don't forget, if we do make this kind of move, we are going to be setting up a massive head and shoulders pattern. So there is a chance that, we don't break above 200 soon. Like honestly, might not even be anytime in May. It might be like June. Like honestly, I think for June, it's also one of Tesla's best month seasonality, right? Wise, it's Tesla's best month. I wouldn't be surprised if June is the day or the month rather we break above 200 and potentially even start making our way to 220s roughly, which is going to be pretty much this massive red line, right? The ultimate resistance on the weekly chart, right? This right here is where that would bring us. Like that wouldn't be surprising if sometime in June, maybe like late June even, we do make our way to there. But it wouldn't surprise me also if the majority of May, we actually spend it kind of correcting, kind of cooling off and kind of building up that next move to 220s. That's kind of what I'm personally expecting as of right now. Obviously with Tesla, you never know for sure. It's a very, sporadic stock, as we can obviously tell, right? But, that's kind of my current projection, right? That's kind of what I roughly expect, where we essentially just, regroups pretty much in this general range right here, as low as like 170s to as high as 200s, that $30 range. And we just kind of go up and down between that range, reaccumulate, set up the right shoulder. And I think from there, we'll break through it. And at the very least, we'll come up to about the 220s to 230s in June and test that. That's kind of my current projection, right? So we'll see if that actually plays out and, if that actually comes to fruition or not. But that's overall my current, thesis, if you will. Now, let's go ahead and bring these bad boys back here, right? Let's go ahead and bring this over here. So my band's regression, right? So remember how I said many, many times how, we were substantially oversold down here, right? Obviously, we went even lower, but, how I said how for every single time, every level we go lower on this, indicator, right? So for each yellow line and especially at the red line, we're like very oversold. Remember how I kept saying that? And then obviously that happened to be the case and we bounced substantially from there. Well, we're unfortunately right at the opposite end of the spectrum now. We went from one side to the other side of the spectrum within a week and a half-ish, right? Unfortunately, that also means that we are now very, very overbought, right? Like we're extremely overbought for just how fast the move happened. So that's why I'm saying it wouldn't be, too surprising to see a slowdown here, a small correction, whether it's a sideways correction, whether it's just a very slow correction to the downside. Again, maybe 183, maybe even, one like close to the 170s-ish. Over the next week or so, maybe even sooner, who knows? But, that wouldn't surprise me entirely, right? Now, we're overbought on every metric. I mean, the 4-hour rather is so overbought that the indicator can't even keep up with this. Let me go remove the 100-day moving average. The indicator, the band's regression can't even keep up. Like we're so past it. Like this doesn't happen very often. Like if I zoom out, you can see not very often does it move out past it that much. The only time it happened last time, which, with that being said, did continue the rally. It continued pretty substantially. It just hugged this red line for like a long, like weeks, literally weeks, right? This is back when we went from like this 160s level all the way up to about 270, which is obviously a massive short squeeze, right? But, that is a possibility. That is an absolute possibility, right? I don't think that's completely unheard of or, impossible to rule out. It's just not something you should rely on, in my opinion. And again, keep in mind, we did already have a pretty substantial, like 40% movement just now over the last like week. So, we'll see how it plays out. But the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that when I was saying it's oversold, like to smithereens, it was oversold to smithereens, and we did bounce. And now, again, I'm just saying that the opposite is true now. Unfortunately, we are very, very overbought. So we'll see how the stock reacts, especially with FOMC coming up in a couple of days, and we'll see how the market decides to react and how Tesla decides to react to that. Because the market does look like it's getting a bit of a bear flag here, right? For instance, QQQ and SPY, that just kind of looks like a bear flag here. So I wouldn't be surprised if this bear flag plays out and we ultimately go lower in the market and essentially come down to retest all-time highs on QQQ, which is in the low 400s, and that could be what brings Tesla down to like about that 170 level. Because the good thing about this move and the good thing about this essentially short squeeze that we had just now is the fact that it gives Tesla a lot of room now. So if the market does actually correct, like I personally think it will, to retest those all-time high breakouts over the next week or whatever it is, right? 2 weeks, whatever. It gives Tesla a lot of room now to quote unquote fall, if you will, with the market, but still be in a very powerful structure, a bullish structure, which is really, really good. So this gives Tesla a lot of like wiggle room, which is very good for the bulls. That's what the bulls want to see. So that's fantastic to see that. But again, it is really, really overbought, like to the point where the indicator literally can't even keep up with it on the 4-hour chart, right? The 4-hour chart, the 3-hour chart, the 2-hour chart, the 1-hour chart, like it's overbought in pretty much every metric, right? Except for like if you go to the 15, I guess it kind of reset there. So which is why one thing that can happen is we play out this little small intraday bull flag and we do come up tomorrow, maybe even to retest like 198 as a potential double top. Like that wouldn't shock me whatsoever. So keep that in mind. We still can go up a little bit higher, let's say tomorrow, right? Maybe get a double top in, but ultimately on the slight, larger time frames, it is topping out here. It is overbought. And I do expect a bit of a correction, right? A bit of a sideways to small bleed correction. Other than that, though, every other metric is still overall bullish. This is why I'm saying even if we do correct, the overall structure for Tesla is still very bullish. Stochastic is still bullish. The RSI is pointing straight up. It is starting to approach some, getting close to overbought levels, but it is still bullish. A MACD on the daily, bullish. And even more so than that, we have the weekly potentially, not yet, but damn close, flipping bullish on the MACD as well. So there's a lot of signs that are pointing to Tesla being bullish, right? That's why I think that personally, as of right now, any red that we get, especially into the 170s, if we get into the 170s, in my opinion, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity to add or potentially buy or maybe re-add if you've already sold or whatever the case may be based on the current structure. Tesla overall has a very bullish look to it, especially the fact that we broke 180. It's just, it does need a bit of a cool off here in my opinion so that it can make a healthy move continuing upwards from here as well. So that's kind of the main way I'm looking at it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, options flow, of course, all over the place. Confirmed bullish flow on Tesla 40 million, which you would think would be more than that, but I'm assuming a lot of profits were closed. But I'm not going to go over every single one of them. There was a lot of things that came in, a lot of $1 million calls and even $1 million puts, but more definitely calls than puts, obviously, that came in for Tesla. Pretty substantial flow today all over the place. But again, there was several $1 million calls that came in for Tesla for, some of them are pretty short dated. Some of them are for sometime, June, July and things like that. So people are clearly bullish. People are definitely trying to squeeze the shorts even further. But yeah, the way I look at it is honestly from now on, any red days that we get, especially this week, I personally view them as opportunities, and especially if we come down into the mid to low 170s, I view that as just personally an opportunity. That's all I view it as, because I think the structure is very, very bullish. But again, it is substantially overbought, just like it was, like I said many times, oversold back here, and everyone kind of laughed at it. And look what happened. Now people might be laughing at me saying the bull run just started, rolling going higher, which I do agree longer term, but shorter term, definitely overbought. Now, the one thing that's a little different though compared to when we were very oversold is the fact that the weekly was also very oversold on that indicator. In this case, we're not. In this case, we actually reverted back to the mean, right? To that kind of 20 moving average on the weekly time frame. We reverted to the mean, right? So the stock essentially resets, if you will, on the weekly time frame. So that's good to see. But we aren't overbought on the weekly, so that's nice to see. The weekly still has technically more room up, which I think obviously will, over the next month or two, will bring us up to about this 230s range, 220s, 230s. That's kind of what I'm personally expecting, which then will bring us into overbought territory, which then I expect a rejection, which then I expect a more probably more severe correction, and then probably from there we ideally break out and move up even further higher, which is what I would expect for now over the next 3 months, let's say, or something like that. But yeah, as of right now, again, Tesla very, 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 very overbought. I expect a correction, but I do view any potential corrections, if we do get them, as just opportunities, and that's the way I'll be looking at it moving forward. But with all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, and as per usual, I will see you for the next one. Peace.